Hello everyone, welcome to Zoned.Live. It's Z here bringing you another episode of Interview with the Streamer, and today I'm very happy to be joined by none other than DotoDoya himself. DotoDoya, thanks for being on the show.
Sure, dude. It's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure's all mine, man. Before we get started, do you mind just telling any of our viewers at home who might not be familiar with Dragon Ball FighterZ a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, no problem. So my name is DotoDoya, or at least my YouTube channel name is, and I play Dragon Ball FighterZ and other fighting games, but mostly Dragon Ball FighterZ on my channel, and just upload that.
So my first question has to do with the name DotoDoya. Like, where does that come from? Is there an origin to it, or?
So there actually is not. DotoDoya doesn't really mean anything. I got it originally from the first word Doto I got from a video where someone took a bunch of dots, Google translated it, and made a beat out of it.
Oh, nice.
I thought that sounded catchy.
Yeah.
And then but I didn't want it to just be Doto, you know, so I had to go make noises with my mouth until Doya came out. Thought that sounded pretty good.
DotoDoya. DotoDoya.
Yes! What a creative genius!
So DotoDoya was born.
So how long have you been streaming for?
I guess since a couple months before Dragon Ball FighterZ came out was when I started the DotoDoya channel.
What gave you the jump to start streaming? How did that come about?
Well, I always like doing YouTube videos, just casually one-offs here and there. Not on any channel in particular, but just making them for myself.
Yeah.
And I've always liked Dragon Ball and fighting games. So seeing Dragon Ball FighterZ come out after I had been, because at the time fighting games were in a pretty bad spot, at least for me in general.
I would agree with that.
So I was just playing like Guilty Gear by myself, really. And yeah, Dragon Ball FighterZ trailer dropped. I was so excited. I'll never forget. I was in a Checkers drive-thru, watched it on my phone a couple times, pulled over to the parking lot, and I was like, man, I just got to talk about this. So I talked about it with my friends, talked about it too much. They told me to shut up. So I was like, I'll just make YouTube videos on it then.
Fair enough, man.
So I did that.
Yeah, it was a very hype moment when that first trailer came out, to be fair.
Before that happened, I guess this is another part that I didn't bring up, but I don't know if you're aware of this, but before the trailer dropped, a still image leaked with a bunch of Japanese text. And it was just like the promotional image, the normal Dragon Ball Fighter image, which the three main characters on each side fighting. And it basically, the leak said, it said 3v3 Dragon Ball game, 2D traditional fighting game like Guilty Gear. And I was like, bro, this is the lamest leak I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is too good to be true.
Yeah.
And it turned out it wasn't too good to be true. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was wrong on that one.
How long have you been a Dragon Ball fan in general?
Probably since I was a kid. I don't know exactly when it started, but I was probably pretty young. Yeah, just because I vividly remember playing with like a toy of, I think, Vegeta. Like it was one of those bad like drive-through toys. But yeah, so pretty young. I don't remember when.
And have you always been a Krillin fan, or did that sort of start with FighterZ? What came first?
No, Krillin has always been my favorite character, and the story behind that is, even though I can't remember when I started watching Dragon Ball, I can remember the first episode I watched.
Yeah.
Basically, it was the first anime I'd ever seen. So Krillin busts through a wall with a ki blast, and he started flying out like with fire behind him, and it was so sick to me. And this is my first episode. Like I just turned the TV on.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so this guy must be the main character. Like, look at how strong he is. I was like, yeah, he's my favorite. He came through in the clutch on that episode.
Yeah, and just in general, man, just the fact that I mean, you can't say he doesn't try. He might not be on the same league as your Gokus and your Vegetas, but he's got the spirit.
I would also say that, like, even though that was the reason I liked him, the Namek saga where he's like, it's like a survival thriller with him and Gohan. That was a pretty fun arc as well. So I would say Krillin's pretty up there. So
what would you say is your favorite thing about streaming, or about creating the content that you make?
I would probably say interacting with other people that like the stuff would probably be up there for me. Thumbnails are also pretty up there. I like making thumbnails. I think that's always a fun thing to do, especially with a game like FighterZ. But yeah, mainly the direct interaction with people, seeing what they like and don't like about the game. And because, like I said, the reason I started the channel was because I would talk to people about FighterZ and they would tell me to shut up. It still happens in comment sections, but less often.
Yeah, I can fully relate to that. That is one of the good things I find about this game, and I suppose fighting games in general, is there is a big sense of community. So how long have you been a gamer for? Is it also since childhood?
Yeah, actually. I don't know when it started, but I can say that I guess another early fact about me is I actually have, like, on me right now, I have pretty messed up thumbs. And the reason I have messed up thumbs is as a kid, I was playing Smash 64, and I was so addicted to it that my parents came in, and I must have been going at it for like a couple hours, but they literally, they said, put the controller down. I was like, I can't. And then they were like, oh my God, his thumbs are actually locked in place. Like,
oh, wow.
It was really messed up. And so yeah, I have permanently messed up thumbs from that. But
does that like inhibit you from playing at all, or?
No, they're not. I would say that they're not like messed up, but they're just like stunted, I would say. Like,
yeah.
I've always been made fun of for my thumbs. It's not like a super huge deal, but
yeah,
I would say like it's one of those things people notice, like, damn, you got some short thumbs. And I'm like, hey, come on, let's not. We don't got to do this.
Let's not pick on the short thumbs. So is that your earliest gaming memory? Is being told off for playing too much Smash 64, which I think a lot of people can relate to as well?
I would say that might be the earliest memory, but there's also other stuff like Donkey Kong Country and stuff like that comes to mind as being just any game of that era that had like a really standout atmosphere. I feel like I can remember. But yeah, it's somewhere around that era.
Do you have a preference for consoles, or do you just like them all?
I didn't. So here's the thing: I didn't have a preference growing up, and I still don't really have a preference. But I will say my parents, they knew what video games were and were surprisingly up to date on stuff like that. But I wouldn't say we had a really good computer, so I didn't know the internet existed. So I couldn't really, other than the stuff I knew and saw as a kid, I didn't really know about.
Yeah.
So I really thought, for the longest time, I thought video games stopped at the Nintendo 64 or PlayStation 2, ironically. I thought it was either Nintendo 64 or PlayStation 2. So speaking of first gaming, the first time I had ever heard of online play, because I didn't know PlayStation 2 could do that, was Halo 3. And I was like, whoa. This is like, I didn't even know Xbox 360 was a thing. I didn't know you could talk to people. I was like, wow, this is a different world.
I think it's hard nowadays to choose just one console because they all offer different things. Like with Nintendo, obviously you've got your sort of couch co-op. With PlayStation, more story-driven stuff. Xbox, you've got, well, I'm sure Xbox fans could think of something that Xbox would bring to the table.
I would say I'm an Xbox fan, but you're right.
I stalled because I've never personally owned an Xbox, so I've always been a Sony fanboy and also Nintendo to a slightly lesser degree. So what would you say the process is like behind the scenes for one of your videos?
It would depend on the video, but for most of my ranked match stuff, it's pretty simplistic. Either I see something really fun or I think of something that would be really fun for a ranked match.
Yeah.
A lot of the time with big patches, like a big example was when Goku's B assist came out, like when they did the 3 assists. I was like, well, that's a video. And like, when like the easy TOD, like if you see a Twitter clip get posted and I like retweet it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a video. Then usually that's the start of the process of like, I see that, I'm going to do that. Then record it, edit it, and upload it. It's pretty simple.
Fair enough.
It's not a lot of work. For higher edit videos, it's pretty similar, just a longer time in the idea phase. Because
when I watch your videos, like, I don't know how you can play and talk so well at the same time, if that makes sense. Because whenever I try to stream stuff, I can only ever talk when there's nothing happening. So between, like, when I press rematch, do you know what I mean? The moment I start talking while I'm playing, I lose all concentration. I just drop everything. But you do just fine. Like, you'll be talking and then you'll mid-sentence, like, you do something in the game and you'll comment on that and then you'll go back to whatever it was you're saying. The hard truth behind that is, like, you can definitely it's definitely a skill you can work at, but it does, I feel like nobody's ever going to say, like, it doesn't affect me at all. Like, it definitely does drop my skill level by a little bit. It's not like, it's hard. It's like a hard thing to talk about because you say that and people are like, oh, so like, would you be able to beat this guy if you were? And I'm like, maybe not, but like, I would do a little better maybe, but you just kind of have to accept that I like to prioritize talking because I feel like you can get more entertainment across in the video. And when I started my channel, that was a big focus of mine because I watch a lot of fighting game content as well. And while I never minded it, one big thing I noticed is, like you said, a lot of fighting game players, like, it'll be like, I can't really replicate the noise, but it'll be like fight stick noises. Damn, that was pretty sick. Like, while he's knocked down, he'll get up, he's like, I'm gonna DP. So, I mean, that stuff is cool. It's definitely good. Like, I watch it still to this day, but I wanted to do like more, like,
I don't know, like I talk a lot, and a lot of
Yeah.
people criticize me for that as well.
Really, I can't imagine why they would though. That's why, for me personally, is why I like the videos.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely a style thing. I don't get mad at anybody that like if they're like, I can't watch that because he talks too much. I'm like, that's fair. I mean, that's a choice I'm making.
After the interview, we're going to do a couple fan questions while we have a little sparring match. But there was one fan question in particular that was a little bit too... A, it was too wordy for me to be able to read this out while I'm playing. And B, I just thought it was quite interesting. It's basically 3 questions in one. And so I'll just read these out to you. These are from Reddit user Cinturon22. And it's related to what we were talking about. First question is, was it your goal to try to become the go-to channel when it came to fighters content? Or did you just want to upload and sort of like joke around with your games and it sort of happened naturally?
I don't know how to... My goal was definitely not to become the go-to fighters channel, but my goal, I guess I don't know if I mentioned this at all, but this is a pretty big thing about my channel, is that as a fan of Dragon Ball and a fan of fighting games, watching Dragon Ball FighterZ start to form a community was kind of scary in a way, because I'm a fan of both, and there seemed to be like Dragon Ball fans that were like, why are they calling it fireballs?
Yeah.
And then there was fighting game fans like, look at these scrubs calling them Ki Blast.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I really hope, like, I don't want this game to die because the sides like eat away at each other. So my goal from the very beginning was to try to get Dragon Ball fans to like fighting games, and to try to get fighting game fans to not like Dragon Ball, but to, I don't know, get it a little more, like not go as hard on people that like them. That was kind of my goal. And the thing was, to accomplish that goal, I didn't have to do it through me. So I did things like I would reach out to like other Dragon Ball YouTubers and be like, hey man, so sick that you're trying out the game. Love this stuff, love that you're playing it, and stuff like that. It just kind of happened naturally that since I kept talking about FighterZ, people subscribed.
That does lead me to my other question, which was, do you have any sort of long-term goals that you're hoping to achieve with the channel? Beyond what you just mentioned of obviously uniting those two communities, which I would say now we're in season 3, I don't perceive a divide personally, so I think the two communities have probably blended in quite well. So have you got any other goals for your channel, or is it just you're just seeing where the future takes you?
I'm glad you asked because you're right. As far as season 3, I think even back in season 2 it kind of stopped, but I would definitely say that it worked out. Like FighterZ definitely, the end game has been achieved. Dragon Ball fans get fighting games, fighting game fans get Dragon Ball fans.
Yeah.
But my goal for the channel, because this is a big deal coming up, we have games like Guilty Gear Strive and King of Fighters, is I'm still going to try to... Dragon Ball fans get fighters, but I don't think they love fighting games yet. So my next goal is to just get them to like fighting games in general. Yeah. So that's gonna be stuff like playing some Guilty Gear Strive on the channel, playing some King of Fighters, because I still love those games, and I'd like to, as I upload fighters and continue doing that, just also get them to like that other stuff as well, which is, I've taken steps for that on the channel already, but I would like to continue doing that.
Outside of fighting games, are there any other game genres you've considered diving into?
As far as the channel, I mean, not really. I'm sure I'll do like one-off videos here and there. Like I've done some in the past, but nothing that I would be like, that I could really see myself sinking my teeth into too much. But yeah, I mean, I like making just funny one-off videos every now and again, so I could probably do that.
Are there any games coming out in the future that you're really excited for?
Other than Strive and King of Fighters that I mentioned, I guess we could also bring up other games like Halo Infinite seemed pretty interesting to me, and actually, now that I think about it, I can't think of any other games, but yeah.
Fair enough, man. So if you could go back in time to when you first started your channel and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
Probably not to use the Dragon Ball font, to be completely honest with you.
Really? Has that gotten into any trouble?
No, not any trouble, but I just look back on it, and like for thumbnails, it's really hard to read that font. Maybe I would teach myself some modern day thumbnail strategies, but yeah, I think that's about the biggest one.
And is there any advice you'd give any new streamers thinking about starting to stream today?
Yeah, I would say just do it. Like, I wouldn't think too hard about it. It's one of those things that, like, I would definitely just, if you want to do it and you want to do it, then you definitely just should. Like, it's a pretty low risk entry thing. Like, you can just make it, and if it doesn't work out, you don't like it, then you can just stop. Like, nobody's gonna get on you for that.
Well, DotoDoya, thank you very much for doing this. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me out.
We wish you all the best with your future goals for your channel. Make sure everyone to go and check out DotoDoya's channel if you haven't already. And this has been Zoned Live. I've been Z. Thanks for joining us.